In this video, I'll be talking about the trachea, the primary bronchi, the secondary bronchi, the tertiary or tertiary bronchi, the bronchioles, the terminal bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, alveolar sacs, and the alveoli. So, to try to explain this better to you guys, I went outside and got a branch from the tree because I didn't draw pictures to explain it. So for the trachea, pretty much the trachea on down, it looks like a tree branch that breaks off into two separate compartments. So the trachea is a wide hollow tube that connects the larynx to the bronchi of the lungs, and it's a key player in allowing airflow to and from the lungs. So think of this section right here as the trachea, which then breaks into the primary bronchi, which you have the right primary bronchi and the left primary bronchi. And the primary bronchi conducts air into the lungs and is one of the two main air passages that connect to the trachea. So trachea, left primary bronchi, right primary bronchi. Next, you have the secondary bronchi, which breaks off from the right primary bronchi. So here would be the secondary bronchi. And the function of this is to deliver air to the three lobes of the right lung. So in this picture, you have the three lobes, which is the middle lobe, the superior lobe, and the inferior lobe. So middle lobe, which is right here. Oh, it's not even in the camera. Sorry, guys. Middle lobe, which is right here. The inferior lobe is over here. And the superior lobe is right here. So the secondary bronchi supplies air to those three lobes of the lung. So that would be this right here. And then it breaks off into the tertiary bronchi, which would be these little branches right here. I was trying to find a branch that had leaves on it to better give you a better illustration, but this was the only branch I could find, and plus there were spiders in the tree. So the tertiary bronchi, they branch out from the secondary bronchi into the lungs. So the left lung has 9 tertiary bronchi and the right lung has 10. So let me go ahead and put this to the side. Okay, so next we have the respiratory bronchiole, which kind of look like broccoli. The respiratory bronchiole, the alveolar ducts, the alveolar sacs, and the alveolar all together look like a broccoli, like a bunch of broccoli, not just one little piece, but a bunch. So the respiratory bronchiole split into a number of alveolar ducts, and then next the alveolar ducts, which are tiny ducts, connect respiratory bronchiole to the alveolar sacs. So think about the respiratory bronchiole as the stem of the broccoli, like the thick, long portion of the stem. And then the alveolar ducts are the little portions, pretty much kind of like a tree branch. So think of the respiratory bronchiole as the stem of the broccoli, the alveolar ducts as the mini stems, and then the alveolar sacs as the little green parts on the broccoli, the tiny little green parts on the broccoli. I wish I had an extra broccoli to show you, but I don't have any. I ate those. Now back to alveolar sacs. Their function is to allow oxygen and carbon dioxide to move between the lungs and the bloodstream. And the alveoli's function is to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. So pretty much the transportation of gases takes place in the alveoli, the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now, the basic structure of the alveoli It has thin walls. It has a large surface area. It's fluid lined to enable gas or gases to dissolve, which is the oxygen and carbon dioxide, and it's surrounded by many capillaries. So there are two different cells. There's type 1 alveolar cells and there's type 2. Type 1 alveolar cells are squamous cells or scale-like, so think of a lizard for type 1 cells. They're epithelial and they form a membrane, and in this case the membrane would be the wall of the alveoli. And these type of cells cover about 95% of the surface area of each alveoli. Type 2 you could think of as the handyman cell, and they're pretty much cuboidal or round shaped cells, and they produce a soap-like substance that helps to prevent the alveoli from collapsing when you exhale, when you breathe out. And they also work to repair the walls of the alveoli by replacing type 1 and type 2 cells. And lastly, for the respiratory membrane, it's made up of two layers of simple squamous epithelium and their basement membranes. And the way gas move through this membrane is that they move across the membrane. Like as if you're gliding on a skateboard, they move across the membrane. And while they're doing this, oxygen enters into the bloodstream while carbon dioxide exits. So pretty much when you inhale oxygen and then you exhale carbon dioxide.